I get such a kick out of comparing a really affordable product versus a more expensive product and seeing if it is just as good. And that's what we are doing today. We have the brand new palette from Alter Ego Beauty, the Daylight palette, up against the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. Let's see if these two are comparable. Hello my gorgeous ones, welcome to Alicia Budget Beauty here on my channel. I love all things affordable fashion, beauty, and fragrance. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, eyeshadow palette reviews, and comparisons, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. Okay, you guys, on top of the palette, we also have some brushes I would like to show you guys real quick because these are also brand new from Alter Ego Beauty and they look really, really beautiful. So we have this brush here that can be used for contouring. It could be used, you know, for setting powder. Honestly, whatever you want to use your brushes for, you can. You could use this even for blush if you like blush, just right where I have it right here. It's very, very soft, very nice quality. I have another set of theirs that I really enjoy as well. Then we have this one here that has a little bit of a tapered angle. So this is perfect for concealer or even setting your powder under the eye. I think you could also possibly use this as a nose contouring as well. I could see it working for that. Then the rest of these are going to be more so for the eyes. And again, they seem like extremely nice quality, pretty densely packed, but still very soft and fluffy at the same time. So this set is actually going to be available for $24 at the same time as the palette, which is $22. And our lovely Natasha Denona is $69. So we're definitely going to compare the two, and these will be launched and available on August 8th. So first, let's take a look at this packaging from Alter Ego Beauty Daylight. I think this is so pretty. It's definitely giving us fall vibes. It kind of gives me like West Coast fall. I think it's really, really pretty and pretty starkly contrasting with this palette's, you know, packaging, because this is really basic. Kind of honestly like the color story, if I'm being honest, but I do really enjoy this palette, so I'm super excited to compare the two. Out of the two packaging, I mean, this one's cardboard, this one is that heavy duty plastic, and you know, I guess it's just all up to preference. If you like really sleek, minimalistic packaging, this packaging is going to be more your speed. If you like a little artwork, you might like this. And I think that Alter Ego does such tasteful artwork packaging on their cardboard packages, and it's also a pretty heavy duty cardboard. It's not, you know, like flimsy. It's not going to just like chip off really easily. So I think that both are honestly really pretty. But let's take a look color story wise. So here is this palette, and then let me open up the I Need a Nude, and don't you guys worry, I have video showing the two so you guys can get an idea that way. And I also have swatches comparing the two. So just right off the bat, looking at them, you know, are they exact dupes? I see this one being slightly more rosy mauve cool toned, and this one looking a little bit more true nude and warm toned compared to this one. That's just like what the eye sees, or what my eye sees. But of course I have swatched these. I know what they look like, you know, next to each other. And I'm gonna go ahead and insert that video. There'll be a little voiceover so I can tell you the little subtle differences that I do see. All right, so on the top is the Alter Ego Daylight palette. And as I move down, this is Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. This is in natural lighting in front of the window. And just looking right here, you can't see a very big difference between the two. But then I'm going to show you the Daylight palette out in the sunlight. And this is where it looks a little bit warmer than it does in the natural lighting. Of course, it's always going to change depending on if you're in the sun, in the shade, but I'm getting a really pretty kind of warmth from this left side of the palette. And now here are the two swatch. So on the top is I Need a Nude, and on the bottom is the Alter Ego. Not a ton of difference here, but the one thing that I do note is the mattes on the bottom look slightly more maybe pigmented than the top to me. And then the shimmers just are a little bit more sparkly and shiny, I think, with the I Need a Nude. But honestly, they are very, very similar. Okay, so I scooted over a little bit because even though I did the voiceover with just the swatches, I wanted to kind of speak on this a little bit and have some swatches shown next to me. But as I said in that voiceover, I do think that they are extremely similar swatched out. There's only a few very, very subtle differences, and I think that they're so tiny that I'm hoping on the eye you won't notice a whole lot. I'd say that at least right now, before it goes on the eyes, that those shimmers in the I Need a Nude are just a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more shifty when they do have a shift of color than in the daylight. But from like here to the screen right now of me standing, I don't think that you would really notice the difference. I think it's going to be if you're right up close to someone's eyes and really examining them. And then we do have slightly different tones in a couple of them. One that's a little bit brighter. There is a matte in here that this one actually right here, I believe, that looks a little bit more warm toned and just a little bit brighter. And then we have the cream color matte, looks a little bit more pigmented and brighter in this palette actually. And I think as far as the mattes swatching wise, they seem pretty on par. I didn't have to just go over to build up those mattes when I was swatching with this palette. They look like and feel pretty similar to me. I say the shimmers are the most different out of the two, but still, I don't know if it is a $47 difference, but we're definitely going to test it out by doing looks. And what I'm going to do is today, I'm so excited to compare the two that I'm gonna do this one on one eye and then the Natasha Denona on the other eye, so we can really compare and see if you could get away with this palette. And then I definitely want to at least do one look with this palette alone. I may sneak in a third one, I'm not sure. I'm kind of pressed for time because I will be going on a family vacation and I want this to be done and up. So I don't know that I'll have time for a third look like I would like, but be sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, because there's always a chance I might do a bonus look on there if I don't get the third one done for YouTube. So let's go ahead though, and I'm going to use the brushes that were sent, and I'm going to create a look on each eye. Okay, it's just hitting me, you know how we've got some kind of peachy neutrals in this one and some cool tones, and then like the mauvey cool tones in the other, and the brown. So I want to use both in each palette so we can really compare them. So I'm going to kind of cross the whole palette here, but I think I'm going to go in, I'm going to go in with Fresh, and I'm just going to put that right here in the inner portion. And I am using the biggest kind of fluffy eye brush to do that. We have some nice pigment here. That looks really pretty actually. And yes, this is coming off pretty peachy, slightly warm toned. Okay, and I'm gonna go back and forth color for color with the palette so we can truly kind of compare them in real time. So this is the Natasha Denona. And so far, they are looking pretty similar. By the way, the shade names on those, it's Fresh in this palette and it was Wit in the Natasha Denona palette. Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is go in with Lucid right here. There's not a ton of kick up, by the way, just a little bit in the Alter Ego, but nothing terrible, nothing that's gonna go like all over the face. So this is definitely more of that cool toned brown, like a hint of a like a mauvey cool tone brown. And I do like the contrast of the warm and the cool. So this one. Okay, now I'm going in to the I Need a Nude, and this is the shade Tender, which is the matching shade to the Alter Ego. Neither one of these are incredibly pigmented. And I would say maybe the Natasha Denona is slightly more, but it's not extremely significant. Okay, now I want to deepen it up just a little bit. So I'm going in with Coffee in the Alter Ego. And I'm taking this smaller brush, by the way, this is the 204. It's not the smallest, it's the next to smallest, but I really like this because I have these, you know, as I call them, my carports that hang over. And that way I can really get in here into the crevice and blend this in. All right, then in the I Need a Nude, this is the shade Silhouette. Interesting. I did have to kind of pick up a second dip as I started to lay this down that I didn't have to pick up in the Alter Ego because it wasn't coming across quite as pigmented, interestingly enough. But shades are pretty similar. I think the Alter Ego is maybe it's just slightly more pigmented. This one comes off more kind of like a smoky gray brown. Man, that's hard to tell. They're pretty similar. Okay, and I'm actually gonna go back into Coffee for the outer portion of the lower lash line. Just right here to kind of connect to the top of the lid. And then I'm gonna go in with Embrace, the deeper sort of apricot looking shade for the rest of the lower lash. Oh, and by the way, I'm using the 203 brush. This one could definitely be used to pack on as a shader, but I'm just kind of buffing it into the lower lash. Okay, now let's switch over to I Need a Nude. So this counterpart is the shade Vague. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this one first. I forgot I hadn't done Silhouette on the outside yet. Okay, this one I think is maybe, you know, slightly deeper in tone, like a little bit more pigmented, a little bit deeper than the Alter Ego. Okay, and let's do Silhouette on the outside. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Shine in the Alter Ego, and I am just laying that down right here in the outer portion of the lid. I maybe should have gone in with one of the darker shimmers, but that's okay. Still pretty. Okay, and then I'm gonna do Sunlit. In the inner portion. It's warmer. These are pretty subtle shimmers. Nothing too over the top and crazy. Okay, now the counterparts here is Delilah. And I don't know why I didn't really note this before. The Alter Ego does not have those kind of cream to powder formulas in it, like the Natasha Denona, and they have been putting those in some in their palettes, but these do not seem to be that way in the Alter Ego. And you know, it's interesting because even looking down at the palette, I'm like, oh, this is going to be much more impactful from the I Need a Nude, but once it's on the eye, so far I'm not seeing a huge difference. Okay, sheen is going to be that counterpart. Honestly, sheen is really, really subtle. I don't think it's as shiny looking quite as Daylight Alter Ego. Interesting. Okay, now we need to pick an inner corner. So I've got this little brush here. This is the 201. So for inner corner, I think we're gonna go with Divine. And we're gonna see what this looks like, not sprayed. It's still pretty nice, not even sprayed. Picks up nicely with a brush too. I like this brush. It's perfect for an inner corner. Okay, now we are going to move over to Mia, and Mia has always been my favorite. Now, I may need to use a finger with this formula, but let's see with the brush. Mia definitely looks a little more pink and foiled in the palette, and yeah, I think it definitely goes on a little bit more pink. This is more champagne. Mia has more of a pink tone. It's not extremely noticeable, but there's definitely a difference in tone here. That's probably the biggest difference that I've seen between the two color-wise. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on my lashes, and then I'll come up a little bit closer and compare the two, but I don't think these are that different. All right, you guys, so here it is, the two looks. But you guys know, I mean, just talking to you guys like this, the camera is probably 1.5 feet away. I don't think you guys would know the difference. I don't think it's a very significant difference. A little bit. I think the biggest difference that I saw, this is a little more pinky toned. The Natasha Denona side, this is a little more champagne toned. The deep apricot type of shade under here is a little bit more pigmented and deeper than this side. Other than that, they are very, very similar. And I actually think this shimmer is brighter than this shimmer. Not a $47 dollar difference, I don't think. So, all right, that is the comparison look. And then I'm definitely going to do a look with just the Daylight palette. But I mean, let me see how many shades real quick. That's, gosh, ninja. Okay, shades I used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe. I believe I used 7 shades in each one. So at least half the palette is it's pretty close. All right, so that gives you a good idea, at least comparing the two. So let me go ahead and move on to the look with Just Daylight. All right, so for the second look, I think what I want to do is not put any of the warmer tones, peachy tones in there. I'm just going to do the cooler, smoky brown tones, and then I'm going to use some of the darker shimmers that I didn't use yesterday. So I'm going to go in with Coffee, that deepest shade again, and I'm taking the 203 brush, and I'm just going to kind of draw out a shape because I want this to be a little bit more dramatic of an eye. So I'm just gonna drag it out here like this, and then come up a little bit to kind of make a little angled faux looking wing with the, just that sort of shape with the shadow. So it's kind of, I kind of call this like a leaf shape, or, you know, like a petal shape. And then I just kind of fill it in by just packing it on with the end of the brush. I really like seeing this shade like this packed on, because yesterday it was a little bit more just in the crease and it was harder to really get a feel exactly for the shade, but this is really pretty. All right, next I'm gonna go in with Lucid up here and just kind of make a gradient, blending this in, and then we'll go in with an even lighter shade next. There we go. These do blend really nicely, and I know yesterday I said just a little kick up in the pan. I mean, it is very minimal. There's not much fallout at all with these mattes. Okay, that is so pretty blended together. Next, I'm going with Fawn down here. And it'll be the final light shade right in here. There's no patchy or muddiness. I really do like that about these mattes, and really the last, I'd say 4, 5 palettes that I have used from Alter Ego, the mattes have been really easy to use like this. Just really easy to blend. No muddy patchiness. Very pretty. They are, honestly, I mean, they're blending out like Natasha's. They truly are. Okay, so for the shimmers, honestly, Brisk and Shine, and Brisk, Shine, and Gleam. There's not a huge difference, but there's not a huge difference in the I Need a Nude palette either. This is just how it is. So I think I'm gonna go with Brisk first over here and put that on the outer portion, but I don't want to get too far over to where it takes up this matte on the outside. So I'm just going almost to the edge, but not quite. Okay, so that's what Brisk looks like. Then I'm gonna do, let's see, let's do Shine on this one. Okay, that's the difference. You can tell on the lid. So, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but this one is kind of a more true bronzy tone, a pewter bronzy tone. And then this has sort of a blue sparkle to it. All right, I maybe should have done Gleam. Let's see, Gleam. Okay, and then Gleam has more gold. So you can tell on the lid, it's hard to tell on the finger when you're picking it up. So Blue Sparkle, more gold with Gleam. And then Brisk is more of that true, not so much of like a shifty color in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and match the other side and put Gleam right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of the Shine just on top of here so it matches now and has just a little bit of a blue tint to it. Sort of like a bluish silver, and then there's the true bronze, and then there's the goldy bronze. That's the difference between those three shimmers. You kind of need them on the eyes or swatched out to be able to tell that. When you're looking in the palette, it's kind of hard to see. I'm really tempted to leave the bottom lash bare with just the lashes because I like how kind of open it looks, but I mean, I almost always do put something down there. So Lucid is just a little bit lighter of those two darker shades. I'm just gonna put it just in this outer portion. I'm not gonna bring it all the way in so I can keep that a little bit more open looking. Okay, and then for inner corner, we're going in with Candid right here because we have not used that shade yet. So it's a little bit of an icy highlight, a really good inner corner pop. Whereas there is a little pink to that Divine. Not as pink as the one in the Natasha Denona, but a little pinker than this. This is definitely more of that icy highlight. Definitely brightens up the eyes. Now, just for fun, because there's only one shade I have not used in here, and that is Airy, this kind of bone colored matte. I'm just gonna pop that right up here, just so it'll kind of frame the darker color. It is lighter than my skin, so it does kind of highlight in a way and just really makes this deepest shade really pop out. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and pop on some lashes, and then we're gonna wrap up all my thoughts on Daylight and how I think it compares to I Need a Nude. Okay, so here it is, lashes on. Inner corner is popping for sure. I think this is really pretty and elegant, a pretty kind of soft, smoky glam look. Had no issues whatsoever with these shadows. And I think my overall assessment of this palette is the same that I had of the I Need a Nude when I reviewed it. To me, this is a palette for your everyday, your quick glam looks that are, you just need to grab a palette that has some neutrals that it's going to be easy to use. You're not going to have problems with blending. It's not too over the top. I think these type of shadows are perfect for work. They are nice for an event where you need to look glam and polished. I really, really enjoy this palette a lot. To me, it's up to you if you like more of the subtle shimmer type of look, if you really like this color story, if you were always thinking about picking up the I Need a Nude, but you didn't want to spend the money. I do think this is an absolute worthy alternative to the $69 price point. $22, $69, to be honest, there's not a huge difference in how these perform. I think looking at them, if you have them right in front of you and you're not swatching them, you're not putting them on your eyes, you're going to think that the Natasha Denona looks more pigmented, that it looks more shiny and sparkly. To be honest, I don't notice a huge difference on the eyes. Maybe like a $10 difference, not a $47 difference Definitely not. So I really enjoy this palette. I think they did a great job, and I do, again, I love the artwork. I think it's really pretty. I do recommend this palette, absolutely. Do you need it if you have I Need a Nude? No, you don't. But if you enjoy reviewing and you enjoy comparing, or if you're like, hey, I want to get some money back on this and sell it and get this, like if you can make money off of it, then I would get it. Otherwise, I think this is perfect for if you missed out on this one or you don't want to pay the price. I would absolutely recommend Daylight. Also, I do recommend the brushes. I think it's a really good price to get the set for the eyes and also for the face. And this one I'm definitely going to use for concealer. Like I said, I have other brushes, so I know how these perform. They hold up really nicely. You don't lose, you know, the hair in here. They're not ones that shed. I think they're really nice quality. And again, both of these will be available on August 8th at 10 a.m. Central Time, I believe. And I mean, you could get both these, the brushes and this, still for $20 less than the Natasha Denona palette. Plus you can use, again, my code and save 10%, so it's even cheaper. But I really think Alter Ego did a good job on this. You guys have to let me know if you plan on picking it up. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping. Bye.